Welcome to the Alumni Lounge. On today's episode, we've got Michael Garbarz, and he is a private pilot.
Hi, my name is Michael Garbarz. I am class of 2019, and I am a private pilot. I love sports. I still love sports, but it was a way for me to share my love of sports with everyone else. I got to control the show. I was on the switcher. I was talking to my camera operators. Just the group that we had at LTTV, the drive and the passion. Working with Bill was also very nice. He gave us a lot of creative freedom. Whenever we went on trips, my favorite part was the airplane. I was sitting on the back patio eating ice cream, watching planes fly over the house. I was so excited that I got to take off the plane.
How did you join LTTV? How did you get involved in that?
Sure, LTTV. So my freshman year, actually before my freshman year, there was the co-curricular night, and it was where, students went and got to see all the different kind of clubs. And I'm like, oh, it'd be cool to be a sports announcer, on TV. And
Yeah.
I knew that LT had a program called LTTV. So I signed up, I got my name, I was on the email list, and it said, you know, every Wednesday or every other Wednesday, we have a club meeting. So the first Wednesday that TV had a club meeting, I went.
hmm
And I had a very good conversation with Mr. Allen about how to become a sports announcer, how to become involved. Because his motto was, you could show up to club meetings and you could say you're in TV, but you're not really in TV. You're not doing anything. So I wanted to get involved right away. And I signed up for my first truck shoot to be an announcer, which was a football game. It was LT versus OPRF. That was really fun.
Yeah. What kind of things did you like about that? About announcing?
It was a way for me. I love sports. I still love sports, but it was a way for me to share my love of sports with everyone else. I
Yeah.
got to, be the quote unquote expert of that game for the day. It was something that I was hooked immediately, and I love doing it.
After announcing, did you do anything else in TV?
I did. So after I was instantly hooked with announcing, but I wanted to do more because I remember Mr. Allen saying, you can't just do one thing in this industry. You kind of have to know it all or
Yeah.
do it all.
hmm
So I started taking the class. I learned how to shoot, edit, all that fun stuff, sound, lighting. I'm like, this is actually really interesting. And then I started doing truck shoots for the class
hmm
because you had to do that besides announcing. You had to work camera. You had to be a grip, do all kinds of other stuff like that. So I did that, and I loved that aspect. So the end of my sophomore year, it was towards baseball season, softball season, and I started, in directing positions. Oh, and some soccer as well. And it was really fun. I got to control the show. I was on the switcher. I was talking to my camera operators, and I was running the show. And I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. It is my show. I'm running it.
Yeah.
I'm calling the shots. I get to make a show how I want it to look and how I think it should look, like it does on TV. And I was really happy about that. So then junior and senior year, I took that the whole way. I kind of phased out of being an announcer because there's only so many opportunities to be an announcer.
Yeah.
Whereas in a truck position, director, camera, anything else like that, there's a lot of opportunities and there's a lot more control that you have on your side. So that was really cool. And then we ended up winning an Emmy on one of our truck shoots for a blackout game. And that was really cool. I mean, here, look at us, a little, you know, a little, well, not a little school, but a school with some camera equipment and a truck and a cool storyline at a basketball game, and we got to bring home, a national trophy for our little program. I thought that was really cool and something that I'm still proud of to this day.
What's a favorite memory that you had at LTTV?
There's so many great memories at LTTV. I mean,
hmm
that was my place, like at LTTV. All 4 years of high school, that was my place.
Yeah.
I was spending my time before school at LTTV. I remember my junior and senior year, I was getting there, before the doors opened, before Mr. Allen got there. And I
hmm
was ready to get on a computer and do something. There were maybe 5 or 6 of us there early in the morning, just wanting to come in.
hmm
Um, I guess I don't have maybe necessarily a favorite memory, but it was just the group that we had at LTTV, the drive and the passion to just be at LTTV and work on projects and create awesome content for not just the program but for the school. We
Hmm.
had Rockathon, we had the truck shoots, we had outside events. We did our own events. We
Yeah.
created a show. I mean,
Yeah.
me, Tony, and Sam, we created Whisker Do with Jake Eby as well. I mean, that was something
Hmm.
we did at lunchtime. We took a camera and we took some lighting and some sound and we created our own show, and it actually got, more views than we ever expected it to get. It was
Hmm.
awesome. It was just the group of people that we had to create all this awesome content and just be able to stick together through 2 3 years of everything. Something that, doesn't really happen a lot, and something that I will always remember.
What was your senior year at LT like?
My senior year at LT. I had a very untraditional senior year at LT. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I really didn't take that many classes. I took AP Psych, I took English, I took gym, and that was it. And then the rest was LTTB. I got to focus almost my entire day on what I was going to do in college. I got to work on projects. I got to uh, prepare for truck shoots. I got to, work on assets beforehand.
Hmm.
Something that you really need to do in this industry that as a high school student sometimes is hard because, you have to go home and you have to,
Yeah.
your parents made dinner and you have to go do that. But having that time in class allowed me the freedom to do that, so I had, 4 or 5 hours a day to work on what I needed for truck shoots or for shows or for whatever we needed to do for that week or that month or that day. So having that was nice. Still focusing on obviously the academics of school, because that's important too, because you need to go to college,
Hmm.
but also focusing on what we needed to do as a TV club and a TV organization to get done for that week or get done for that day. So that was very nice.
After high school, like what college did you go into?
Yeah, I went to Ball State University. I was going for digital sports broadcasting. That was what it was called. It was under telecommunications. It was basically LTTV, but ESPN.
Yeah.
So, and their focus was storytelling. Everything is a story,
Hmm.
storytelling, storytelling, storytelling. Find the story, whether that's in a person, whether that's in a broadcast, whether anything we do really, it's revolved around a story. And it made sense because I mean, stories, they win awards,
Yeah.
and you know they have a great reputation. They have a lot of Emmys. They know what they're doing when they're talking about storytelling. So it was a good experience. It taught me a lot more about the industry, not just, the surface level, the technical aspect, which was me. I liked all that stuff, but I dove deeper into it. And once you got deeper into it, you could take your technical aspect and all your skills that you have, and then you apply the story to it.
Hmm.
And it becomes so much more than just a broadcast. It becomes, a journey through a broadcast, not just a broadcast,
Yeah.
which I thought was really cool.
That is really cool. After Ball State, where did you end up going, or what did you end up doing?
So I didn't end up finishing at Ball State. I kind of knew after my sophomore year that, you know, maybe this career path isn't for me.
Hmm.
I loved it. I still love broadcast. Broadcast is awesome. I will still do a truck shoot. I love the quickness of it, the immediate, and being in control of a broadcast. I like
Yeah.
that aspect. That's really cool. But
Yeah.
in terms of a career, working 90 plus hours a week, always on the road, not really knowing where you're going next. And,
Hmm.
these jobs are really competitive. Everyone wants to become, the next producer or director. And um, for what I wanted to do in my life, it just wasn't it. So I made a plan. I left Ball State. and I am now at Lewis University here in Romeoville, and I
Yeah.
am finishing school to become a commercial pilot.
Ah. What do you like about being a pilot? Or like what made you wanna like get into that field?
So I've always loved aviation. Aviation has been something that I loved growing up. I remember, growing up, I was sitting on the back patio eating ice cream, watching planes fly over the house. It may sound silly, but I mean that's
Mhm.
what I like doing. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is so cool. I've always, whenever we went on trips, my favorite part was the airplane. I'm
Mm,
like, I love flying. And then I took my discovery flight August of 2021, and
mm,
I was hooked immediately. I'm like, this is what I want to do.
yeah.
And there was something that I thought of that there's a few similarities between like being a pilot and being broadcasting. So, for
Mhm.
instance, like in a broadcast, like if something breaks or something goes wrong, can't just sit around. You got to fix it. You got to be active,
Yeah.
proactive. You got to kind of be a doctor.
Yeah.
You got to diagnose the problem and fix the problem. Well, it's just kind of the same thing for a pilot. You got to be the doctor of the sky. You know, you notice something wrong.
Doctor of the Sky.
Doctor of the sky. You
Mhm.
notice something's wrong on your instrument.
Yeah.
You can't just sit around, because if you sit around, then that's going to lead to a lot of bad things. You got to
Right.
diagnose, see what's wrong, and fix it. So I think, those similarities between those two fields helped me be a better pilot, because you have to remain calm in stressful situations. There's a lot that's happening, on a basketball court or a football field. Stuff happens in seconds, and it's the same thing in the sky.
Mhm.
And if you freak out in either of those scenarios, something's going to go wrong,
Mhm.
and you may not be able to fix it. But, being able to stay calm and being able to work around a problem or work around a stressful environment,
Yeah.
it's going to lead you to success.
If somebody was interested in becoming a pilot, like what would kind of be the first steps they would need to take, you know?
Yeah. So to become a pilot, the first step that you should take is you should take a discovery flight.
Mhm.
So you go to a flight school, you say, "Hey, I'm interested in maybe signing up for a private pilot class." They'd be like, "That's awesome. Let's get you into a discovery flight." So they're
Mhm.
going to take you up. You're going to fly the plane. You're going to be in the left seat. You're going to be the
Mhm.
captain's seat. And you are going to, go to the runway. You're going to take off the plane. You're going to turn the plane. You're going to do just about everything, because you're with an instructor. So the
Mhm.
instructor's right next to you. They're going to take you up. They're going to show you some stuff. You're going to do some turns. You can do some climbs, some descents, and they're going to teach you a lot in the first day.
Yeah.
They're it's a fun time. I remember my discovery flight. I took off the plane myself. The instructor's hands were off the control. He's like, "I'm going to have you take this off."
Mhm.
He was there to monitor. He was right there, but I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like, I was so excited that I got to take off the plane. And I actually was pretty close to landing the plane. I got it probably 10 feet above the ground, but landing takes, a good amount of time to figure out. I mean, every pilot
Mhm.
will say that no one perfects landings right away, but a discovery flight, that is your number one thing to start, because you're going to find out right away whether you like it or not. Because some
Mhm.
people get really nauseous and sick.
Ah.
So if you get really nauseous and sick, because it's a small plane, you're going to be, you know, a little bit of turbulence goes a lot, more in a small plane than it does in like, an American or Delta plane.
Yeah.
So you're going to find out right away if you like it. And if you do,
Okay.
that's great. If not, there's a lot of great other career opportunities in aviation. So, yeah.
How was it working with Bill?
Yes. Working with Mr. Allen was, I'd say, one of the best things I've got to do at TV. Um, there was no, hey, I'm your I'm your friend. I'm here to hold your hand. It was, no, we need to get this done. I'm going to help you along the way, but we're going to do some work, and I need you to be here, and I need you to do this, and I need you to get this shot. It's not, "Oh, that's okay. We'll get it next time." It's, "Hey, we need to get this." You know, it's live production.
Mhm.
You get one take. There's no do-over. It's not a play, or It's not, something where you can do over and over and over again.
Hmm.
It's one take. When he says get the shot, that shot should be there. It's good because it teaches you that there's, you can't really mess around.
Yeah.
You have a job to do and you have to take it seriously. It's like landing an airplane. You
Hmm.
get one shot at landing an airplane.
There's no do-overs.
You can go around if you're not comfortable, but even then, you still got to get on the ground.
Yeah.
Somehow you got to get those wheels on the ground.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of aspects where it's like from live production to like landing a plane. One take. That's all you get. Working with Bill was also very nice. He gave us a lot of creative freedom and he gave us a lot of opportunities. If someone had an idea for something, he'd never shoot it down. He'd sit you down and walk you through exactly what that would look like
Hmm.
and what it would take and what you would need.
Yeah.
Always very realistic, which is what we so desperately need everywhere. Just, hey, this is the realistic steps that we need to take in order to do this. It's great if you want to start, a show, but you're going to need cameras. You're going to need camera operators. You're going to need a director, a producer. You're going to need to write scripts. You're going to need to find this. You're going to need, you know,
Yeah.
someone to edit it, someone to produce it. So there's a lot that goes into it, for one person's idea because you're going to end up creating a team of about 7 or 8 people, maybe
Hmm.
more, depending on what it is.
Yeah.
So once people created a show and once people saw what it took to take, that show either did very well or they pivoted and they did something a little smaller. Because there's a lot of aspects that go into it that some people, or that, you may not just know right away because you're new, you have a great idea. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'd always want people to explore their ideas. But having that realism and saying, hey, this is realistically what we need to do
Hmm.
is very important because then we're not just throwing everything out there and creating something that, we wouldn't be proud of. Because we all want to be proud of something that we worked on.
Of course.
That's at the end of the day, that's why we're here.
Hmm.
And we're here to help the kids. But being realistic in that time frame as well is very important.
You've done it all on TV. What else have you done?
Yeah, I mean, me, I did everything in TV. But outside of TV, I kind of took that aspect of, I did it all on TV and I kind of, you know, took that to what I wanted to do outside. So,
Yeah.
I became, through LT, I became a scuba diver.
Hmm.
It was offered, and I'm like, wow, this is really cool. I can get certified. So I did the class, and I became a certified scuba diver, and that's good for life.
Yeah.
So that gives me privilege to dive in the U.S. because you have to have a license to dive in the U.S.
Hmm.
So I'm like, I can dive in the U.S. now. I think that's really cool. Also through LT, they had a class called sports officiating,
Yeah.
where I could learn how to become an official. And I decided on the path to become a basketball official. And I am a licensed IHSA basketball official. That taught me so much.
Hmm.
I got to know more about basketball than I've ever known. And it actually really helped me, when we were doing broadcasts for LT, I got to know so much more about basketball that I was so in control of that broadcast. I knew exactly what was going to happen. I knew
Yeah.
all the calls on the court. I knew the timeouts, what was going to come, the flow
Mhm.
of the game. It was just everything. I don't like to use mastered, but I had the game down to a science and the broadcast kind of down to a science and what I knew was going to come next. And I saw that as an asset. I learned more about something and I can use it in another, field. And I think that's kind of, what I like to do. I like to learn a lot more about, what else goes on. Like
Yeah.
pilots, there's pilots and then there's air traffic control. I do a lot of studying about air traffic control and how their operations flow to us. So the more I know about what they're thinking about,
Mhm.
it's easier for us to communicate because it's like players and officials, they have one mentality, the players have one mentality. But if you know both, it's going to make everything a whole lot easier and it's going to make everything run so much more smooth.
what advice would you give somebody looking to get into any of those fields?
Yeah, the biggest thing is to not be complacent, comfortable. Once you get comfortable and once you get, acclimated, it's really easy to just kind of stick with it and kind of just have like a status quo.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is you're not going to learn. Yeah, you can maybe learn a little bit, every time you go out and do something, but you're not really learning anything new. I'd say the biggest thing you need to do is branch out, you know, look at everything from different sides. You know, when you're when you're on a broadcast, we were always taught produce your position, the eyes of a cameraman, the eyes of an audio person, and the ears of an audio person, the eyes of a director, a replay operator.
Yeah.
Knowing how to do all of that and you know, then you're producing and you've done all those positions. You know what it's like to be that person. You know what you want out of that person. You know the responses you're going to get from a call out over, a headset. If you know all of that and you've been in their shoes, your job's going to be a lot easier. You're going to have a lot smoother of a show. And the more you branch out and the more you learn about every single aspect of whatever job or whatever field you're going to get into, you're going to be the most knowledgeable person. You're going to have a lot easier time and you're going to be more desirable when it comes to an application. Hey, I've done this.
Mhm.
I've done X, Y, and Z. I've done all this. I've researched this. I know about this. That looks good in an interview and it looks really good on a resume or an
Yeah,
application.
for sure, for sure. Well, Michael, thanks for coming on. I really enjoyed getting to hear your story, getting to
Absolutely.
hear what you think. You have fun?
I did. I had a great time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see you next time on the Alumni Lounge, where stories collide and memories reside. Thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, consider liking and subscribing to the Alumni Lounge, where stories collide and memories reside.